All right, let me ask you a simple question. Are all gun deaths bad? That is everybody who dies by the use of a firearm, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Well, it depends. It depends on what the situation is. Who was it that died? Who was it that used the gun? Why was the gun used? Let me give you an example. Let's say you're standing at a bank or a post office or maybe in the lobby of a school, and a madman walks in with a gun and blows away 5 people around you. 5 innocent people die because an evil man used a firearm. The firearm is not evil, but the person who used the firearm did an evil thing with that firearm. Those gun deaths are bad. But let's say a single mother is at home with her children and 3 armed thugs break into her house. She has a firearm. She uses that firearm on the 3 thugs, kill the 3 thugs in defense of her own life and the lives of her children. Are those gun deaths bad? Absolutely not. Because if it's one thing we know, the earth is a much better place without evil people. Now, the reason I'm asking this question is because I found a very interesting turd floating around in the sewers of the internet today. And this comes from lawcenter.giffords.org. Yeah, this is the Giffords who got shot, and then she's got this big campaign going where she's trying to enact gun laws all across the nation. So it's Giffords Law Center to prevent gun violence. First of all, we all know there's no such thing as gun violence. People commit violence. Inanimate objects don't commit violence. Guns are just tools that people use to do bad things, like a hammer or an axe or a bat or your fists or your feet, or a knife. This is annual gun law scorecard. So they're going to score all the states in the nation and give them a grade. The evidence is clear, they say. States with stronger gun laws have lower gun death year after year. Lower gun death rates year after year. But they never define who died at the hands of the person with the gun. Was it a madman with a gun killing innocent people? Or was it an innocent person who's being victimized by a criminal who used a firearm to defend themselves or their loved ones? They never say. So right off the bat, this website is completely dishonest because you have to define what you're talking about with gun death. If you group in bad gun deaths with good gun deaths, it's 100% disingenuous. So they have all these scorecards. Of course, they give California an A. They give New Jersey an A. They give Illinois a B+. And they rank them. You know, here's Montana as an F. Gun law strength, 38th of 50 states. And then they say gun death rank, 3. It's the top 3 out of 50 states because they have the least strong gun laws. Now, here's the deal, guys. I want to take you to this right here because a lot of people quote this study, so I just want to give it to you in the direct quotes. In 2013, President Obama ordered the Department of Health and Human Services and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to, quote, conduct or sponsor research into the cases of gun violence and the ways to prevent it. In response, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention asked the Institute of Medicine and National Research Council to, quote, convene a committee of experts to develop a potential research agenda focusing on public health aspects of firearms-related violence. This committee studied the issue of defensive gun use and reported this. And I just want to direct your attention to this right here. Quote, almost all national survey estimates indicate that defensive gun uses by victims are at least as common as offensive uses by criminals, with estimates of annual usages ranging from 500,000 to more than 3 million. Basically, 500,000 to 3 million lives, innocent lives, are saved every year by the use of a gun. And that is not factored into these charts that the Giffords law firm comes up with. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna read some of this stuff to you guys, and we're gonna go over this real quick. I'm gonna try to make this video as short as possible. For example, in Montana, it says Montana failed to pass any significant gun laws in 2018. What is a gun law? See, they used to call it gun control law, but now they're calling it gun safety law because they want to get away from the aspect of control. It's not gun control, it's people control. So if you take away the control or the gun part of the control, it becomes people control. Now, if you take the gun part away, it's people safety. Oh, they're just concerned about people. So they're calling it gun safety now, and I'm going to show you this in a second. The life-saving momentum of 2018. The gun violence, there's no such thing as gun violence, guys. People violence. These are euphemisms they try to use to scare the public into making rash decisions and getting their political parasites, their political overlords to create more laws that actually make them less safe, make them more of a victim, and empower criminals. Just like we always talk about the gun-free zones, they're criminal empowerment zones. If you want to call them what they really are, it's not a gun-free zone because a person will carry a gun. And it's not a magical barrier where if you're carrying a gun in your pocket, you run into this invisible shield. When you have a gun-free zone, it's a criminal empowerment zone, which makes a victim creation zone, or like I call it, a fish in a barrel zone. That's exactly what it is. Because the person with a gun in a gun-free zone is the guy who's in charge or the woman who's in charge. The gun violence prevention movement experienced unprecedented progress in 2018. After the mass shooting in Parkland, Florida, high school activists stepped up and spoke out, urging our leaders, the cream of the crop of humanity, the political overlords. They're parasites, guys. They're not my leaders or rulers. Are they your leaders or rulers? Urging our leaders to confront this unconscionable public health crisis. It's not a public health crisis. They say that 40,000 people a year die due to gun violence. Let's think about this for a second. They don't mention the fact, a lot of times they don't mention the fact that 63 to 65% of that 40,000 is suicide related. People used a gun to commit suicide. But let's give them the 40,000 number and divide it by 327 million people in this country. If you take 40,000 divided by 327 million people, you get 0.012% of the population. 0.012%, guys. That's 1/100th of a percent of the population dies by what they call gun violence. But then if you take the 65% of the people who commit suicide with a firearm off of that, it's 0.007%. That's 7/1000ths of a percent. This is not an epidemic. This is not a public health crisis. Far from it. 26 states and D.C. passed 67 new, they call them gun safety laws. They're trying to get away from gun control laws because they don't want to scare people about, hey, we really do want to control you. This is about people control. So this is kind of like a double euphemism. It's a euphemism on top of a euphemism. Gun safety laws. They're really gun control laws, which are really people control laws. Make no mistake, that's exactly what it is. They want to take away your control and they want to convert it to themselves. There's always a transfer of power. A gun control law is literally a transfer of power. In 2018, a testament to both this new grassroots energy and the decades-long work of gun safety advocates. In November's midterm elections, voters overwhelmingly rejected gun lobby-backed candidates and elected a new gun safety majority to Congress. New gun control majority or people control majority to Congress. See, here's the thing. The more laws you make, the less free we are. The more laws, the more gun laws they make, the more criminals are empowered, and it takes away the power of people who become law abiders. This is completely 100% insidious because they use euphemisms to try to control you and I, and they want to drum up fear, and they want to drum up support for their political parasites. Besides, here's the blaring irony to the whole thing. How do you enforce a gun law? Well, you do it at the barrel of a government gun. So they're going to try to end gun violence by initiating government gun violence. Here's what needs to happen. The government needs to back off, and people need to stay with shall not be infringed. Eradicate all gun laws and take away every single gun-free zone sign. Every single gun-free zone at every bank, every post office, every school, and just let the people be free to defend themselves with whatever personal protection device they choose. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give them a thumbs up, and share them with everybody you know. The only way I can overcome YouTube's censorship and suppression algorithm is if you guys thumbs up and share these videos. I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow banned video.